present in the courtroom. State, are you ready to call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's ready.
You may proceed.
For the state, we call Aaron Smith.
Aaron Smith. How am I going to spell Aaron?
A-A-R-O-N, Judge. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this is one of the witnesses we did not have a report for, and we've explained that to the prosecution. And if we can just maybe take a look at their report, they did not provide that in discovery yet.
I'll give you a break between the witness and your cross-examination to look at it. If you could find the report and give it to them while we're doing this. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, I do. Have a seat. You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, counsel. Detective Smith, good afternoon, sir. Can you state your full legal name, please?
Yep, Aaron Wayne Smith.
And your profession?
I'm a detective with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office
And how long have you been so employed?
for approximately 4 years.
And what are your duties with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office?
I'm currently assigned as a major crimes detective.
Directing your attention to January 13th of 2014, did you have occasion to assist Detective Proctor in the investigation of a homicide which occurred on that date?
Yes, I did.
And what role did you play in this?
All of our squad was called to assist at the scene, and my main role there was as a crime scene detective.
Okay. And did you have conversations with Cobb Movie Theater as far as the video surveillance?
I did. I spoke with the general manager, Tom Peck, who was in charge of the building at that time.
When did you learn that Cobb Movie Theater had video surveillance?
During our investigation that day, shortly after my arrival, I talked with Detective Basone, also of the Sheriff's Office, who had spoken with the manager, who said they did have several cameras throughout the building with video.
And through the course of your investigation, were you able to obtain the original footage or video surveillance from Cobb Theaters?
Yes. During that time frame, we asked them to stop the video recording and to download, as it's all digital video, everything from 12 noon that day to the incident time. And at that point, they had contacted their IT department and started doing that.
And do you have a working knowledge of how these video surveillance cameras work in the movie theater?
I do. There's several different cameras in different areas of the building, some in the Cine Bistro areas, some in the hallways, most of which are motion-activated digital video cameras.
Are they also infrared?
Ones that are in dark areas of the building, such as Cine Bistro, are also infrared, yes.
Okay. And are they motion activated?
Yes, the ones in the Cine Bistro area are motion activated.
Did you in fact receive a video of the Theater 10, the lone survivor, which was showing on January 13th of 2014? I think the start time was around 1:20 or so.
Yes, sir, I did. After the video had been copied over on the 15th, I met with the vice president of Cobb's operations and obtained copies on thumb drives of all of those videos.
Okay. Judge, I'd ask the record to reflect that I'm showing what's been marked as State's Exhibit O, I believe, for identification purposes to Mr. Escobar.
Record, Mr. Reflect.
Judge, I just have some voir dire before they introduce it.
All right.
Excuse
You
me.
may proceed.
Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon, sir.
Detective, you were called out to the scene to assist in this investigation.
Yes, sir.
You were going to assist Detective Proctor.
Yes, sir.
And one of the roles that you assisted Detective Proctor was in gathering these particular videos.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Did you examine the cameras at all there within Theater 10 yourself?
Other than visually, they're fairly high up on a wall. I didn't write down like specific make model information, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. Do you know how it is that they mechanically operate? Do you know that the speed in which they record?
No, I don't have that information.
Okay. Did you attempt to try to get that information, the speed of which they record?
No, because I'm not familiar with the system on that technical level. I spoke with their IT department and their network administrators to get an overall view of how the system operated.
But did you ever ask them? Tell me the speed.
The speeds of the cameras? No,
Yeah.
sir.
The speed is a pretty important issue, correct?
It's It depends on, what you're trying to find in the video, I suppose, but at the time, for what I was viewing, it did not come up as necessary information.
Well, you're aware, are you not, that if a camera is recording at a particular speed and then you're trying to play that recording at a different speed, it could be a problem as far as accuracy?
I'm sorry, that's a little bit above my technical knowledge, I think, sir. I don't understand exactly what you're asking me.
Well, do you know at what speed you were playing the actual recorded video?
It was played back by an embedded recorder that comes from Cobb when they made the copies.
No, I'm not
so
talking
that I
about that
can't
one, I'm
tell you.
talking about your recorder. When you got those thumb drives and you played it, at what speed are you playing those recordings?
It's gonna be whatever speed the computer that you're playing it on defaults to.
What software were you using in an effort to play that recorded?
Initially when I viewed the video, it was actually at Cobb's theaters on their DVR monitors that were there.
Hey, I'm talking about later on, because what we're gonna be playing here is what you got from the thumb drives, is that correct?
Yes, sir. What I did with the thumb drives is I made an exact copy of those onto a portable hard drive, and then copied those files onto DVD.
Okay, but you don't know, your computer that you're gonna be using here today, you don't know at what speed it's playing that recorded video, correct?
That's correct, sir.
And I believe you indicated to me earlier that you're using Windows Media Player, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you try to use any other software in order to play this video other than Windows Media Player?
The only other program I've used to view it would be VLC Media Player.
VLC. Now, just a couple of issues concerning this infrared and this motion detector. Are you familiar with both of those issues?
Generally, sir, yes.
Okay. And motion activated means that a camera is going to only start filming once there is some range of motion, correct?
Correct. Once it senses motion, then it would signal the DVR somehow to actually record for a period of time after that.
Do you know how much motion has to be present in order to activate the video camera to record?
That I do not. I don't know a way to quantify what the motion would be.
Did you
no.
ask anyone with Cobb Theater in their technical department to give you that information?
No, sir. They simply told me that it was just activated by motion.
And so when you're recording via motion, there are going to be lapses in the continuation of that film, correct?
There'll be periods of time when the camera does not sense motion that it will not record anything.
And so you're going to have events that are going to be joined in presentation, but not necessarily joined in time, correct?
Correct, sir. When it plays back the information, it plays it in one steady stream, obviously, instead of second by second.
And so the perception could be that this all happened in that time period, but in actuality it didn't.
There's an embedded timer that plays on the screen to let you know, in relevance to the machine's clock, what the time frame is, but correct, it doesn't, like I said, it does play one smooth motion through. It doesn't stop at the end of each clip that was captured, if you will.
And you were told that the time stamps on those particular cameras had some problems.
We were informed by the Cobb tech, the system administrator, that the times between some of the DVRs didn't match, and the reason that was relevant because not all of the cameras are on one single DVR, because the number of cameras around the building, they're split between multiple machines.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge, do we have a moment?
Oh.
Yes.
Detective, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit Number 4 and ask you if you recognize that exhibit.
Yes, sir. If I could open the box to look at it, it appears to be the drive that your office had given to me to ask for copies.
Please,
of
would
video
you?
clips. Yes, sir. Does appear to be a drive of the same make and model as the one that your office had dropped off here for the copies, and the ones that I copied my video clips over to.
Okay, and so what you're telling me today is that the clips that you were just talking about on direct examination, you used that Seagate external drive to copy that information onto that drive?
Yes, sir, I used the external drive that I copied the original thumb drives onto to then make the same copy onto that drive there.
Okay, in order for us to have a complete and full and accurate copy of what you had?
Of all the video I had at that time, yes, sir.
And then you handed, or Mr. Garcia handed this to me in court, is that correct?
Yes, sir, once the copying was complete, I dropped it off at his office for him.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, now you can play the video, if that was what you were seeking to do.
Judge, with the court's permission, I'd like to enter what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit O for identification into evidence as State's Exhibit number 7.
Any objection other than what was previously stated?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, shall be admitted as stated 7.
And likewise, Judge, with the court's permission, I'd like to play it.
Okay, you know how to do that?
Thank you, Mr.
You need him.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
You can
Can I
step
step
down.
down,
so
sir?
you can play the video. It's a D, not an O.
I stand corrected, Judge. I indicated to the court it was State's Exhibit O. It's State's Exhibit D for the
Okay.
record.
When you play this, it's going to appear on that screen?
Yes, sir, I'm going to turn the monitor on here.
Your Honor, I would not be opposed to turning down the light. I think it would give us a better view of the video. We would certainly encourage that.
That's fine. Is there somebody that can accomplish that task?
Probably those
You
front
looking
lights.
for those backlights there? There you go. There's no sound to this video, is that correct?
Correct, sir, it's video only, no audio.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach you a little bit?
You may. Feel free to move wherever you need to get the best view.
period
Correct.
has to be present in order to activate the video camera to record.
That, I don't know a way to quantify what the motion would be.
Did you
no.
ask anyone with Cobb Theater in their technical department to give you that information?
No, sir, they simply told me that it was just activated by motion.
And so when you're recording via motion, there are going to be lapses in the continuation of that film, correct?
There'll be periods of time when the camera does not sense motion that it will not record anything.
And so you're going to have events that are going to be joined in presentation, but not necessarily joined in time, correct?
Correct, sir. When it plays back the information, it plays it in one steady stream, obviously, instead of second by second.
And so the perception could be that this all happened in that time period, but in actuality it didn't.
There's an embedded timer that plays on the screen to let you know in relevance to the machine's clock what the time frame is, but correct, it doesn't, like I said, it does play one smooth motion through. It doesn't stop at the end of each clip that was captured, if you will.
Okay. And you were told that the time stamps on those particular cameras had some problems.
We were informed by the Cobb tech, the system administrator, that the times between some of the DVRs didn't match, and the reason that was relevant because not all of the cameras are on one single DVR, because the number of cameras around the building, they're split between multiple machines.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge, do we have a moment?
Oh.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Your Honor, approach.
Ma'am.
Detective, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit Number 4 and ask you if you recognize that exhibit.
Yes, sir, if I could open the box to look at it, it appears to be the drive that your office had given to me to ask for copies.
Please, would you?
Clips. Yes, sir. Does appear to be a drive of the same make and model as the one that your office had dropped off here for the copies, and the ones that I copied my video clips over to.
Okay, and so what you're telling me today is that the clips that you were just talking about on direct examination, you used that Seagate external drive to copy that information onto that drive?
Yes, sir, I used the external drive that I copied the original thumb drives onto to then make the same copy onto that drive there.
Okay, in order for us to have a complete and full and accurate copy of what you had?
Of all the video I had at that time, yes, sir.
And then you handed, or Mr. Garcia handed this to me in court, is that correct?
Yes, sir, once the copying was complete, I dropped it off at his office for him.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, now you can leave, if that was what you were seeking to do.
Judge, with the court's permission, I'd like to enter what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit O for identification into evidence as State's Exhibit number 7.
All right. Any objection other than what was previously stated?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, shall be admitted as stated 7.
And likewise, Judge, with the court's permission, I'd like to play it.
Okay, you know how to do that?
Thank you, Mr.
You need it.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
You can
Can I
step down.
step down, sir?
It's a D,
I
not an
stand
O.
corrected, Judge. I indicated to the court it was State's Exhibit O. It's State's Exhibit D for the
Okay.
record.
When you play this, it's going to appear on that screen?
Yes, sir, I'm going to turn the monitor on here.
Your Honor, I would not be opposed to turning down the light. I think it would give us a better view of the video. We would certainly encourage that.
That's fine. Is there somebody that can accomplish that task?
Probably those
You're
front
looking
lights.
for those backlights there? There you go. There's no sound to this video, is that correct?
Correct, sir, it's video only, no audio.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach you a little bit?
You may. Feel free to move wherever you need to get the best view. All right, should we bring the house lights up? Or is there further video? Is there further video you intend to play?
That is all.
That's what's on that. Okay. Do you have any further questions for this witness?
Yes, Judge.
You may
May
proceed.
it please the court, counsel. Detective Smith, if you would, please, can you share with us, do you know the height difference between row B and row A?
It's approximately 10 inches between each floor height. There's 2 steps in between each one that are about 5 inches each.
Okay, all right. I don't have any further questions of Detective Smith, Judge.
All right. Mr. Escobar, you inquire of this witness.
I do. Detective, when you were given this assignment to go and search out this video, were you told by Detective Proctor to be looking for, possibly a cell phone hitting Mr. Reeves beside the head?
When I first received the video, we just asked Cobb to give us snippets of any cameras that covered that angle. I have not done anything to try to enhance the video or to examine any further different items in it at this point.
Is then your answer that no, Detective Proctor never asked you to try to look at the video for evidence of a phone coming across the video area?
He asked me to review it for evidence of how the event occurred. He did not specifically ask me to look for a phone, no.
Okay. And so I would imagine one of the things that you would have found to be very helpful would have been a program that would have allowed you to capture frame by frame that event, correct?
No, sir. At our level, we would probably have a certified lab or somebody that's more qualified to enhance the video, things like that, because...
I'm not talking about enhancing, I'm just
Yes,
talking
sir.
about frame by frame playing of that video.
Yes, sir. And at my job description level, I guess you would call it, I don't have access to software that does that.
You may not have access, but my question was, you would have liked to have done that to be able to see frame by frame, correct?
No, sir, it has not come up so far in the investigation.
You would not have liked to have a frame by frame viewing of that video?
We watched the video as the incident occurred to see what's there. You can pause it at different places and look to analyze different things that you're looking at. The digital video, however, is not in a frame format, I guess is the most correct answer. It plays straight through. It's not like traditional film where you have individual frames.
I understand that, but my question was simply, would you have liked to have had a frame-by-frame viewing of the video so that you could see it as best as you could?
At this point, with my ability to pause it on the computer and rewind and fast forward to where I want to see, then no, sir, I haven't seen any benefit to doing it that way as opposed to just watching it on the media player.
Now, you indicated that you could stop it at
Yes,
certain frames, correct?
You can stop it at any point in time during the video, not on a frame per se, because the frame doesn't exist, I guess.
Okay, well, you could have stopped it at second marker 24,
Yes, sir.
and second marker 25,
Yes, sir.
and second marker 26,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Correct.
Did you do that?
Yes, at many different times. I've watched the video multiple times and paused it and started again and rewound to look at different sections of the video, yes.
Now, in addition to that video, you indicated that, I guess you went and examined the area of the incident?
Yes, sir. As crime scene detective, my general responsibility would be to just confer with the forensic investigators that are taking measurements, collecting evidence, photographing, help direct different things just to make sure, certain things are documented and just to have an overall awareness of the items that are in the scene.
And were you able to see a phone in the area of the incident?
Yes, sir, I did.
And that phone was actually in row A, was it not?
It was in the very top row of the theater. Unfortunately, the theater does not designate row letters, numbers, or seat numbers, but it would be in the very top row next to the Cinebistro wall.
And that top row would be the one that the seats have a 6-foot wall behind it?
Correct, sir.
And that would have been the same seat that Mr. Reeves was seated?
In that same row, yes, sir.
Okay. And you saw the actual phone on the floor of that same seat, Mr. Reeves' seat?
So the phone was on the floor in front of that row. At that point in time, when I saw it, I couldn't have told you exactly which seat Mr. Reeves was in.
Well, what about today?
At this point, since there's no numbered seats, I can tell you where the phone was seen in our scene. I don't know which, again, there's no designation of row and seat number, so I can't tell you, I guess, a designator of which seat it was, no, sir.
What was important to you, was it not, to determine whether that phone was in front of, or the floorboard in front of Mr. Reeves, correct?
Through the witnesses' descriptions that were there, we felt it was probably within one seat, one way or the other of the area, but I was not aware at that time of which exact seat he was in.
You didn't touch the phone?
No, sir.
You made sure that your group preserved the phone?
Yes, sir. It's typical at any crime scene. Things were photographed and measured before they were collected, and then they were collected as evidence.
And your collection methods is in an effort to preserve that phone for all sorts of evidence that may be on it?
Yes, sir.
DNA, fingerprints, what have you, correct?
Anything we may attempt to gather in the future, yes, sir.
And certainly if that phone was thrown by Mr. Olson at Mr. Reeves' head, you would want to preserve anything on that phone for evidence of it striking Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir. At the time we collect from a crime scene, we preserve it because we don't know what type of evidence might be on it, so we try to preserve everything we can for any future analysis, yes.
Now, there at the scene, were you given information concerning witness descriptions of what had taken place during the incident?
Yes, sir.
And you were told that, in fact, there was an allegation that Mr. Reeves was throwing something Mr. Olson was throwing something at Mr. Reeves?
Yes, sir. The allegation I was aware of at that time was that he had thrown a bag full of popcorn.
Well, what was the allegation concerning the phone?
There was none. At the time the phone was found on the floor, we did not know who the owner of it was. We did not know if it belonged to Mr. Reeves, Mr. Olson, or any of the other patrons that might have been there.
And so you didn't even know that there was an allegation by Mr. Reeves that Mr. Olson had struck him on the head with a phone?
I was made aware that he was alleged he had been struck by something, and that witnesses had said they saw a bag of popcorn thrown, and that was what I was aware of.
Had you been told that the allegation was that specifically he had been struck by a phone?
No, sir.
We don't object to the characterization in that question. Again, Judge, I would remind the court, you heard the audio tape of Mr. Reeves. He says he may have been hit with a fist. He may have been hit with a phone. He doesn't know. So to state that he was hit with a phone is a mischaracterization of his taped interview. The last thing he said was he didn't know.
Overruled as to those objections, I'll use my own recollection as to what the evidence is. You may continue, Mr. Escobar.
Did you do anything there at the scene to determine whether that phone had a screen light where when you touched it, it lit up?
No, sir. That time, it was just simply collected and bagged, and the power button on the top of the phone was turned off. We didn't do any,
Why did you turn the power button on the phone off?
that's one of our steps in preserving electronic evidence, because there are many applications out there that can interfere with, say, a phone that may be locked or remotely wiped of information, things like that. So we shut it off so that things like that can't happen, and to preserve any of the electronic media that may be on it.
When you shut that phone off and you touched it, did the light go on?
No, sir. The light, just being generally familiar with that model of phone, with the iPhone, when you push the button on the top that's not part of the screen, you'll get I believe the Apple logo comes on, but I'm not the one that turned it off myself, so I can't tell you for sure what it displays when it turns off.
Okay. And so your experience with those phones is that the screen will light up when you touch the screen?
If you touch the screen, or actually, no, sir, if the screen is not on, it will not light up if you touch the screen, only if you push what they call the home button or the circular button at the bottom, or the button on the top of the phone, I believe.
Okay. Do you know what model of iPhone that was?
I do not, sir. It was an Apple iPhone, but I don't know which designator it was at that point.
Do you know what the weight of that phone was?
No, sir, I don't.
And do you know the size of that phone?
No, sir.
One other question about the video that I think is somewhat important. The video appears to have some light to it, meaning it's not, doesn't appear to have that dark theater atmosphere. Is that correct?
As far as background lighting, you mean, sir?
Yeah, it looks, everything looks bright. It doesn't look like a dark theater. Is that because of the infrared night vision that it has?
It's a combination of the light that's available, sir, because the inside the theater, the lighting is never completely off. They have the can lights in the ceiling that are on, but yes, also the infrared helps brighten up the image.
Because that infrared is almost equivalent to that night vision that many cameras possess, correct?
I guess it depends on the type of camera, sir, but it's projected infrared light from the cameras or from other sources that the lens can recognize that the human eye doesn't typically see.
So you can't tell this court here that what you're seeing in the form of light on that video is, by any stretch of the imagination, accurate?
It is accurate to the video, sir, not necessarily visible to the naked human eye at the time.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. State, do you have any redirect for this
Just
witness?
one question, Jeff. Detective Smith, there appears to be particles floating in the air on the video. Do you know what those particles were?
Yes, sir. I spoke with the Cobb technicians, and also after viewing the video, feel it was dust that was on top of the camera. When the shot was fired, the concussion inside the enclosed room just caused the dust to fly in the air.
So essentially, those are just dust particles that you see throughout the video? Then?
Yes, sir. Dust that was dislodged after the shot was fired.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Thank you, Detective.
Thank you, sir.
Your excuse.
Your Honor, we'd like to reserve our right to recall him on
All right, Detective Smith, don't leave the building, okay? All right. State, do you have any further witnesses you want the court to hear from in this bond hearing?
No, sir.
All right. Is the victim going to make a statement today? Mr. Rinaldi?
No.
No statement?
No.
Okay. Do you wish to call any rebuttal witnesses in this bond hearing?
We have a couple things. Number one, we want the autopsy of Mr. Olson introduced into evidence.
Do you have any objection, State?
I do, Judge.
Okay. Do you have a witness that you're going to call for the autopsy to be introduced?
Your Honor, as a court, we just got this voluminous discovery, and we have not. We just spoke to our expert last night concerning certain aspects of this. This is an Arthur hearing where hearsay is allowed. It's also a bond hearing where the rules of evidence are relaxed.
Absolutely, but don't I need a witness for this?
I don't believe you do, Your Honor. I believe that under an Arthur hearing, just like they had a out-of-court hearsay affidavit with numerous witnesses saying numerous things in that affidavit at the initial hearing, and they used that in the Arthur hearing to show presumption grade proof evident, we have the ability as well. This is the government's medical examiner that actually authored this particular report. It's an important report because it suggests, Your Honor, that the victim,
Wait, don't tell me that yet. Let's stay with whether I'm gonna admit it before you try to tell me what's in it. The copy that you have,
Yeah,
is
sure.
there an affidavit of authenticity that came with it?
it's actually signed, Your Honor, by the medical examiner in the very front, and it talks about his actual findings.
All right. Now, if you are gonna introduce that, you're gonna introduce that for me to review it without the assistance of any interpretation by any witness? That's what you
Absolutely,
want.
it's self-explanatory, Your Honor.
Okay. State, do you have any objection to me receiving the autopsy report authored by the medical examiner of the 6th Judicial Circuit? Or one of the assistant medical examiners?
No, I don't have an objection to that, Judge. I do have an objection to Mr. Escobar making arguments based upon the autopsy because you would need an expert in order to give these findings, Judge, and explain the findings.
All right, well, it's one thing to introduce it, it's another thing that the argument that's gonna flow from it. As far as autopsies and autopsy reports, I've seen a lot of them, so if he's gonna be arguing to me, I understand what's conclusion and what's the facts set out in the autopsy. Is it your intention to tell me that I should draw some conclusions that I need a medical examiner to explain to me, or you just want me to read the report and take the words on the page?
Take the words on the page.
You want the words on the page. Is there any reason I shouldn't read the words on the page,
No,
Mr.
sir.
Garcia?
No, sir.
All right, I'll accept it into evidence as defense. We're on 4 for the defense, right? 5. You haven't moved the Seagate in yet.
It may, Your Honor, at some point in time commence.
Well, then this is 4, and it's in line. It'll be 5 if it gets in.
Your
All
Honor,
right?
you would introduce the medical, excuse me, let me show it to him to make sure
I
that.
have.
You got it?
You good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me read it. This will be now 4 in evidence. Give me a minute to review it, and then, are you going to have